All right, 7 minutes early. We're going to do an install. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to hop on. This will be that weird time at the beginning of everybody's stream where not a whole lot happens. I'm going to install Keenan's Coda. And some people got this chamber from me empty. So I'll use it as kind of like a walkthrough. We'll just do a walkthrough. It'll be fun. What's up? What's up? We're gonna give it a few minutes and then get started on this install. While we do, I'll get this kill switch ready that I forgot to do. What's up, Jesse? Hey, thanks, man. I haven't done one of these in a while. I want to kind of get back to it. Grab a saber every once in a while, jump on and do an install. So today will be the coda for my dude Keenan. And I'll probably get started. Hey, what's up, Ike? Probably zoom in on my desk and we can just get cracking. Let me move the camera and see if I can zoom you guys into my work area. Hey, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. What's up, Sophia? I should be close enough for you guys to see what I'm doing, right? So I've got it kind of broke down already. I'm gonna try my best to get in frame. I got the shroud off of it. I've got the switch plate off of it that will go right here. We're gonna build all this up. This one's been weathered. I don't know if it picks up too good on camera, but yeah, this one's been weathered. So we're gonna get rid of this handle till the very end. We don't need it, but I will need this top piece. Let me turn on my soldering arm. So we'll build this up here in a second. Switch plate. Pretty much everything I need is right here, right? But before we do anything, I'm going to do the crystal chamber because there's a few things I'm going to glue into here and then let it cure while we're doing some other things. So let me get my desk situated. And I will try to keep up with the comments, but really this is kind of like just an install. So this is my crystal chamber I designed for the saber. It's all weathered. I'm going to use one of these guys. So this is a resin crystal I like to print. I print these in a tube. I go through, yo, what's up, Keenan? I go through and kind of, might be hard to focus, but rough it up a little bit with a Dremel so it looks like a crystal, but then fit it right into here. That way it matches all the greeblies that I designed into the chamber. I'll glue this in. Set this off to the side and let it dry for a sec. Go on to the NeoPixel for the crystal chamber. It is your saber. Let's see. Let's get some wire. From a wire rack. We're going to build up the crystal chamber, set it off to the side. We're going to build up the top piece of the saber with the switch box and everything. We'll set that off to the side, and then we'll build up the the chassis, just minus the board. And once we get all that built, we'll start putting it together and then wire up the board. It should go pretty fast. I already got the board programmed, so if I do this right, we should be able to fire it up. There's my test battery right here. We'll need that. And we're going to use all 6 pads on this single NeoPixel because I'm going to do sub blades for the 8 pixel strip and save myself some wire space at the chassis. Yeah, I love these helping hands too. I don't remember how long it's been since I grabbed them. It's got to be over a year, almost maybe 2 years. I don't know, but they're really, really nice. Come in handy. All right. All this over here a little bit. Well, I'll get this out of camera here. It's been a while since I did one of these. So what I like to do is I like to glue in the crystal first to the chamber, and then that's the first thing we did. Is probably already set because I like to use CA glue. It dries pretty quick. So yeah, that crystal's already in there. And now we're going to take this NeoPixel we wired up and we're going to glue it to the bottom of the crystal. And then set it off to the side, and we won't touch this chamber for a while. Get my tweezers. CA glue is really nice. I don't recommend it because if you make a mistake, it's going to ruin the part. But I've been doing this for a little while and have a little bit of confidence. And so for me, you know, for 5 seconds, I can hold a part there and it's already set. So for me, that's very nice when I'm trying to hit a workflow. It's already glued in, it's set. So we're going to set that off to the side. We'll come back to that. All right. Let's do this switch box next. Before we do anything, this is where the shine through is going to be for the 8 pixel strip. But on the back here, it's got a little indentation, and I modeled in that indentation so that you could put whatever kind of just whatever kind of diffusion you had. If you had some foam, you could shove that in there. I'm going to be using I don't know what you'd call this, Mylar or something. It's really nice. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I still have about 50 of them. I didn't put those up for sale when I initially put out the run because I wanted to make sure the first half went smoothly, and I didn't leave myself in a bind. So when I'm all done with the orders that I've got and the installs I've got, and everybody's is out that needs to get out, I'll post those for sale. If anybody wants one. So I like to take that diffusion, I'll glue it on the inside there, and then so we can diffuse those 3 holes, right? So everything's good there. We'll put this off to the side and let it dry. Move into the switches. If you have one of these and you're wondering what size switch, I use the brass hat tactiles. The 3.5 millimeter high brass hats is what I designed the control box for, and it works really nice. And I'll show you guys that here in a second after we wire up these switches. I'm going to cut a few of these legs off. There we go. Come over here and get some wire. About that much. Almost out of this roll of black, but I have a whole nother roll. That's okay. Try to utilize this one though. It may not be long enough. Oh, it was just long enough, man. We're good. All right. Wire up these little switches real quick. It'd be nice to do just one of these. I've been doing them two at a time. So get these little 3.5 millimeter brass tactiles. Doesn't want to focus in on that. There we go. That guy right there. About the size of Albert's chode. Take this and twist it up for some nice wire management. Go for something like that. Yeah. Almost. There we go. One more here. Twist it up. Now when you put these switches in the switch box, you have a couple different options. I did design. We're gonna have a focusing problem all night, I can tell already, but okay, here we go. I did design that little seat right there to fit the entire tactile switch, all right? But if you're gonna put it on there, you probably want to put a piece of like heat tape on there or something. But rather than do that, what I do is I glue them right on there, but I bring the switches forward a little bit so the 2 feet that I soldered to are dangling off that ledge right there, and they're not touching any kind of metal, if that makes sense. I'll show it here in a second. What's up, Brady? A little bit of this on there. Hold this down for a second. Should be all right. Now, if I can focus in, you can see that resting there, right? But if I flip it around and you look inside that groove, you can still see the two, maybe hard to see on camera, but you should be able to see the 2 legs that you soldered to kind of sitting out here into the groove, so they're not touching any metal, and that's fine. That's what I like to do instead of using the heat tape. If you use heat tape, you're going to have to use a little bit shorter of a switch than a 3.5, because because these are exactly the right height for the switch box or the clamp card that goes over it. Hold that there for a second. That should be good. You see those? You can tell those legs I soldered to each switch. They're dangling off into the groove there, and then you can see them here on the other side. So everything is good there. So we'll set this off to the side and let this dry. And we will work on our little 8-pixel strip next for the clamp area, right? Let's get some more wire. See if that's enough. Be enough. Okay. I use these 20/20 strips whenever I can. You can, of course, use these guys. I find that these are cheap. If I can zoom in on it, I find that these are pretty cheap and unreliable. If you bend them a certain way, they won't work, and the wire on them is absolute garbage. So, I mean, if you're going to use them, I would highly recommend taking all this wire off and putting your own wire on it. But we're not going to use these. We're going to use this guy right here. It's pretty. This one, 20/20 strip, is pretty robust. So let's put our wire on here real quick. One, two, three. We'll twist these up. With every empty, I sent a USB drive that had STLs in it. This was one of the STLs. I mean, you got a CFX chassis, a Profi chassis, and you got one of these guys. This was to hold the LED strip, and I made this pretty thick on purpose because I wanted it to be a nice tight press fit into this piece right here. So you might find that you have to do a little bit of sanding on there. It's not meant to just slide right in there and fall out. I want it to be a super tight, like you're going to have to press it in there, and once you press it in there, it's not going to go anywhere. Rather than sand mine, what I've found is I'm just going to cut a little bit of the corners off. Glue the strip on there. And it should fit in there just like that. Just like that, right? So, looks good. All right. So we can take this piece, and we can press fit it right into this wide slot here because that's where it goes. All right. Slide our wire through. Like I said, you might have to play with yours a little bit. You might have to do a little bit of sanding. Push it in there. So that's how I made it. It should be a nice tight press fit in there, and it's not going anywhere. You can put a little bit of glue on there if you want to, but that thing is not going anywhere. All right. So next, bring our switch back. These switches are dry now, so we can test them out. We'll go ahead and put our clamp card on there. I made these clamp cards a little bit different than what you typically see. Instead of, I've got a grub screw here and a grub screw here to hold the clamp card on, but instead of fighting it with, finding out how hard you got to press up against it, I have these two grooves cut into the clamp card, and that's right where the those two grooves are right where the grub screws will be, and it holds it on there nice. All right, so we'll just slide it right on there. Get our grub screws. This way you don't have to play with the tension. Put it right in there. And the other one. Just like that. And if you did it right, nice tactile feel on both sides. Good to go. All right. So we'll take this, throw it over here. We'll put our switch housing on now. Snap it in place. Bring over our screws. There's three. We need one more. And we'll go through and tighten them up a little bit. You don't got to super crank on them or anything. So now we've built up our switch box. We've got our 3 holes to fuse. We've got our LED strip underneath there. Everything's looking good so far. We're going to go ahead and build up the blade connector, glue it in there. Let's do that. Then the upper piece will pretty much be done. Sabers PCB. Do I prefer the care of Sabers PCB to the stock? Um, I do. I mean, apart from them being nice, I just don't. I wouldn't use stock stuff if I can help it. Anyway, if somebody provides it to me and wants me to put it in their Saber, I'm happy to do that, but I won't buy anything from them. Well, well, well. That's how I feel about that. Um, and besides, I think that these were anyway. I think these were designed by Stock anyway, and Cal just bought the rights to just bought the rights to them. You know, so in my eyes, they're Cal's and they're really nice. I mean, look at all the LEDs on here. Someday when I focus in, you could see them. Maybe. Don't want to show you. There we go. That's a lot of LEDs on there. How many more do you need? So we'll glue this in. Oh, let's give this one more twist. Glue this into the PCB holder. Just like that. Let that sit for a second. Get a drink of water. All right. Grab an Allen wrench real quick. Back in the day, there were 3 LEDs max, and we were happy. Yeah, dude. Um, it was like the PCB LED war, like a year and a half ago. You remember that? Everybody was trying to one up everybody on the amount of PCBs that were on or LEDs that were on a PCB. I like these ones a lot though. I've been buying these for a while. Um, I probably used over 60 of them. Never an issue. Just cutting this bolt down a little bit. I was getting them from someone else, and he was a really nice guy. I'm not going to say who he was. They were nice, but they were giving, every once in a while, I would get one that would be busted, and of course, I wouldn't see that it was busted until I got it all in the install, and had to rip the install back down and get it out of there. It was good times. But I've never had an issue with these, so can't go wrong there. Go wrong with KR Sabers. That in there. Go ahead and glue this in there. We'll set this off to the side, and the top part is pretty much built. And we can move on to, and we can actually attach the crystal chamber, which would be kind of cool. Attach the chassis last. Although we might go work on the chassis for a little bit and let this sit and dry. Yeah, we'll let this sit and dry for a moment. But we got our So we got our blade connector in there, we're good. We got our LED strip in there, we're good. We got our switches. This is pretty much built up. I mean, even if we wanted to, we could just come over here and put the shroud on it right now so I don't lose these screws. All right. Now it's built up. We'll set this off to the side. All right. Let's build up this chassis a little bit while we let some other stuff dry. Let's go to the battery tabs that nobody likes but me. I'll rip these little things off the bottom. I like to have two leads coming off my kill switch. You know, you got your one lead that goes from your positive battery terminal to your kill switch. And then the other prong from the kill switch, I like having two leads come off of that. One will go straight to the board, and the other lead will be to tie in any other peripherals that need power. So like in this case, right, it'll be my LEDs and my main blade connector. That way I don't have a giant rat's nest of trying to splice a bunch of wires together, you know, having like 5 wires coming together and then one coming off of it or two coming off of it. I don't like that because it takes up a lot of room underneath the board. So this is a lot cleaner for me. That's it. Good. So yeah, two leads coming off that middle prong. Right there, right? One to the board, one to my peripherals. So that's good. Let's wire up the speaker. Yo, what's up, man? Welcome. Wiring up a Saber for Keenan. A little twisty on here. All right. Start putting this stuff in the chassis. This is about the only place where I use E6000. A little bit behind my battery tabs. What's up, Mark? Um, it just holds them, like it gives the E6 that, like after the E6000 cures, it's just that much more security that the battery tabs will stay in place. Makes sense for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just an old habit. But by the time tomorrow comes, you try to move these tabs at all, it'll be difficult, and it's because it cured back there behind the tab. My battery tab's already like super flush up against that wall, so it's just added support. What's up, Dale? Thanks for supporting it, man. Crystal chamber should be here in about a week, I think. Did order it a little later. Okay. Yeah. Fire it up. Through. A bit of CA glue on the sides, not too much. You put too much on this, too much of this on the kill switch, and you'll seize it up. That was a hard few lessons for me. I've done that more than once. Okay. We got our kill switch in there, if you can see that. All right, we got our battery tabs in there, so now we can finally come and put our speaker in there. So last thing I do. Any suggestions on sources for learning Profi basics like adding sound fonts? YouTube, YouTube. I learned Profi from watching Megtooth's tutorials. You have the patience to sit down and watch it because there's a lot of information, but it's very valuable. You can learn everything you need to know about Profi from that guy's channel. So now we've got our speaker in. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate that, man. Got our wires. Everything here is good to go. So we can kind of set this off to the side now. And we can come back to this piece in our crystal chamber. Let me go get the right size Allen wrench. There we go. I did notice they're at kind of random spots. They're not going to be at the same spot on every saber, the ones that I was QCing, but there will always be two chassis retention grub screws. You may not need them both. In fact, there's a lot of times I don't use both of them. Let me see if I can. There you go. There's one, and then you're always going to have one that's 180 degrees from it. So we'll just make sure those are backed out. I do have a hole back here for wire passage for the rest of the wires. So I'm going to run these through real quick. Should go in pretty easy. There we go. Sit in there a little bit, but it will go. This piece too, I want it to be a press fit. It's definitely that. Take that back out. Take a quick look at it real quick. See what's going on there. Yeah, of course, man. No worries. It's it can be daunting, but it's one of those things. When it clicks, it will click. You know, it'll all make sense to you. Just take your time with it. There we go. I'm gonna go put this on my table off to the side. We're gonna negotiate quick here. Press fit that in there. Come over here, and I'm gonna use this one here on the bottom. Can't seem to get the no blade to work on Profi. PCB will light, blade does not. Huh. I'm not sure what you mean by no blade. So now we've got our upper half or the upper saber done. We've got the crystal chamber all in. We've got all of our wires gone through the crystal chamber passage. You remember earlier, one of the first things we did is we built up, or we wired in. I'm so sorry about the focusing, guys. I will try my best. There we go. First thing we did was we wired that single neopixel for the crystal chamber down there, and we glued it to the crystal, right? And you remember I said I put some solder on all 6 pads, because now I'm going to take these 3 wires from our 8 pixel strip and I'm gonna wire them. I'm gonna solder them to the other 3 pads on that single NeoPixel, and use sub blades to save myself some room in the chassis. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you, Dave. Once we do that, I mean, we're already halfway done. More than halfway done. Just a matter of gluing in the chassis and wiring up the board. All right. Yo, what's up, Albert? Man, I cracked a joke about you earlier. What did I say, dude? What was I talking about? Something tiny, and I was like, it's about the size of Albert's chode. One more wire. Yeah, you missed it. It was at the beginning. I forgot what it was. I was just messing with you. Glad to see you though, dude. Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. Wednesday? Alright, so probably not gonna be able to tell in that mess, but I took the 3 wires from my 8-pixel strip here, brought them in, shortened them, and I wired them to that single NeoPixel. So now we've just got this to deal with. All right. So run these wires up through the chassis here. Just like that. Sure, wire management's good. I'm going to use this glue again because I'm a huge fan of it. It is really good for tying together chassis and brass pieces. I mean, this stuff holds stuff really well. I'm gonna let that sit for a second, but now we're to the point to all we need to do is wire up the board. So it wasn't too bad. We've been at it 49 minutes, but you know, I've been kind of explaining every step of the way too, and stopping and trying to show stuff. So I know it's like a 20, 25 minute, 30-minute job. Let that sit for a second. I'll get a drink of water. I already got the board here programmed. It's got the Coda font on it from a boy. The KSith Saber with a KSith sound font for KSith. Love the CA glue. Been using it with the nozzles ever since you recommended it. Yeah, right on, man. This stuff is great. This stuff is great. The PR40. Saner Fawn. Beef. It's beefy. All right. Chassis has been sitting there enough. Let's get to wiring up this board. I'm not going to explain how to wire up the board. All you installers out there know how to do that already, and the people who don't install, they probably haven't even made it this far in the video, because I can imagine it's probably super boring for somebody who doesn't wire up stuff. We're just going to get to it. I will say I put the NeoPixel, you know, on data 2 and LED pads 4 and 5, and that, you know, and then chained it or sub-bladed it up to the 8-pixel PCB. So there's not a whole lot of wires up here, and I should have a pretty easy time. I don't want to jinx myself, but shouldn't be too hard. We'll just work our way around the board. There's a negative battery, and then I always do negative battery, and then I'll go to the speakers, or the speaker, rather, speaker wires, since I'm in that spot anyway. Speakers done. Hey, what's up, Pam? I like to take care of everything on the same side of the board that I'm working on, and I will work my way around the board. I don't like jumping back and forth. I will if I have to, but don't really have to here. So everything on this side of the board was the negative battery tab, the speaker, and now the our accent, our 3 wires for our accent. We'll get those wired up and out of the way. Okay. Data 2. What I understand, no blade is used when installing a lit PCB, which without a light, without a blade. Once the blade connects to the pins, the PCB switch to power the blade. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of that. Let's take care of this power switch while we're over here on the side of the board too. This is something that confuses me with the V3. Why couldn't we have just left the power and the auxiliary switches where they were? It's fine now, I'm used to it, but it would be like feeding the wires through the board to solder. I've seen people solder the wires on the same side of the board. Yeah, I prefer to feed them through, but I'll do it just barely, and yeah, I kind of feel like that's what the holes are there for. And I try to make my solder joints or my solder pads neat, so probably just habit. But I know if it's going through that hole, I fill that hole full of solder. The wire's not going anywhere. Thank you, sir. So we made our way around to the other side of the board. Now I'm going to do the auxiliary switch and the ground switches, or the ground wires for the switches, and we'll bump back and do the and we'll do the negative for the blade connector on LEDs 2 and 3. Get that out of the way because that's a beefy boy. Not too bad. We've got more than half the wires already done. You know, on a CFX, I'll wire to the underside of the board. But the reason I do that mostly is because I'm down there anyway, trying to jump all those pads. Toning my hair. I'm watching. What's up, Cole? We're almost done. Yeah, I'm down underneath the CFX board, jumping all those pads anyway, so um, that's why I do it to that board. But let's get this negative one for the blade connector out of the way. It's taking up a lot of room. Do you program the board to run the help PCB LEDs parallel with the blade then? If you're going to run in parallel with the blade, you don't need to program it that way. All right. They're just simply part of your blade style, part of your main blade style, if I'm understanding you correctly. Let's fold that over. Let's see what else we got here. Tie these together. Almost there now. There you go. The man himself came in and answered that for you. A few more wires, guys. We'll take one of those double leads from my kill switch, put it to the board. Data one out of the way. I love that stuff too. Usually it's good for me. Sometimes it does seize up for me, but just cut the, you know, millimeter or something off the tip. I know you can't see that. My camera's doing it. Just cut a little bit off the tip and it's fine. One tip lasts me months. Everything's been wired, so now we're just gonna kind of play with everything on here, make sure that it's sitting exactly where I want it to. Nothing's getting pinched. Everything's kind of in order. Snap this board down. Put the SD card in. Where's my battery at? Tighten these up. She's all done. I'll try it with the handle on. So that is a little walkthrough tutorial on how to do that. I'll take some close-up shots and post these. I'll probably do a short video on it, but Keenan, this is your Saber, and I hope that you like the way that that came out. Thank you, Pam, Dale. I appreciate that. I will, yeah, I'll probably, what is tomorrow, Friday? This will probably go out in the mail to you Monday because I'm going to send you that other blaster that I had too. Yeah, I'm not using a special mic. If I do stuff like this, I don't have a mic plugged in. I'm using the microphone from my laptop, so it is not super good quality. It's just enough to get by myself on a live stream. But yeah, that is the Coda. I'm gonna grease those threads. Don't worry about that. Thank you guys for hanging out. Have a good weekend. Catch you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.